So, this week it's been really interesting. First of all, can you believe it's November? Like, I feel like it was just August yesterday, and now here we are, it's November, and the year will be over in less than 8 weeks. Is that right? No, okay. 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 I've been asked not to say that too loud, so the year will be over in less than 8 weeks. Don't tell certain people sitting out in their seats that that's what's happening. Let them figure it out. Oh my goodness. So we're entering this season now where we're turning into the holiday season. We're turning actually into a time of incredible abundance on the earth. Incredible abundance. People spending money, people receiving money. I mean, all the circulation that's happening, people giving of their hearts, people giving and donating. It's a time of abundance. And so the theme this month is the art of plenty. The art of plenty. And I have purposely chosen for every month of this year to have the talk start with the art of. And here's why. It's a nod to, one, me being an artist, and there's so many artists in our community. So you all know I was a theater actor for many years. And what I know about art and being an artist is that you don't just pull that out of thin air. I don't care how talented you are, right? And art is something you have to practice. You have to put in time. You have to do the really boring work, doing your scales, right? Or making the pots that don't look good, right? Or learning certain techniques in painting, or going to technique class for dancing, right? There are certain specific things that you have to do over and over and over and over and over again in order to become an artist, or to be able to say you've mastered the art of something. And so that's what I really want us to get here in this community, is that what we're doing when we meet every week and we take classes and we meet for meditation every morning is we are actually practicing. We're doing the technical steps, the rudimentary steps, so that we can actually master the art of life, right? Mastering the art of life. And so we gather as part of that practice, right, is to be here on Sundays. And it's also just a really beautiful oasis from the cray-cray that is happening out beyond these walls, right? That is going on as we look around at everything. So, the art of plenty is all about abundance, a surfeit, overflow. And so I want to share a story with you. And, I know that this is a church that our teachings are from Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. And Ernest Holmes talked about Jesus quite a bit, for those of you who don't know that. So I'm going to actually share a biblical story to anchor us in this month, right? So let's just take a deep breath and move into the space of this story that we all know. So just imagine, right? So Jesus is this master teacher who is walking the land and gathering crowds, healing, teaching, right? In these environments that are dusty and ancient, and people are learning and soaking up everything he's teaching. And at one point, he receives the news that John the Baptist was killed, and he goes into a retreat, into a quiet place, remote, removed, to mourn, I would assume, or pray, or whatever was his practice. And people began to hear that he was in the area. This was near the Sea of Galilee. People began to hear that he was in the area, and crowds started gathering because they had heard he's a master healer and teacher, and people followed him. And so he begins to teach and heal. And imagine a throng of I love how the story is always told as 5,000 men and then women and children. So there were more than 5,000 people there because they were all humans. And so there's this crowd of people that are gathering, and they're yearning for his message. And I just imagine that, you have people, you have animals, you have children. So this was not like probably a calm, pristine gathering. And yet they're learning, and they're being touched and being healed. And as people began to get restless as the time went on and hungry, the disciples got concerned, and they wanted Jesus to let people go and buy food, or go get some food and get refreshment. And Jesus said, let's just feed them. Why don't we feed them? And one of the disciples said, Well, we don't have enough money, right? Basically, I'm paraphrasing this. We don't have the money to feed the many people who are here. And so there was a young boy who had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And the disciples brought that to Jesus. Jesus said, bring that to me. And the disciples are very concerned because there's too much need and there's not enough supply. It is visible. It is obvious. And so people are getting anxious. And Jesus takes the loaves and the fishes and he breaks them and he looks up and he gives thanks. And he begins to pass the fish and the bread to the apostles, who pass it out to the folks who are gathered there. And people are fed. One after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. People are fed. Right? People are fed. When it looked like it's impossible. When it looked like there's not enough, we do not have enough. When it looked like there's no way we can change this physical appearance that's standing right in front of us. And Jesus knew that there was another way, right? So the act of looking up, Ernest Holmes says, looking up is looking away from the appearance and looking to the divine source. Looking to source. Knowing so completely, so fully, which is why Jesus didn't say, nowhere in Scripture does it say that Jesus at that moment said, please God, we don't have enough food, please feed us, right? Please send us enough bread. There's a lot of people here, they're hungry, and they need to eat, right? Oh, please, how are we going to do this? I don't know what's going on. People are going to think, right? None of that happened. None of that happened. Every account of this says that he merely took what was there and he looked to source. And then he moved into action and started distributing the bread and the fish. And there was enough. And in fact, there was more than enough because there were 12 baskets of food left over afterward. And Jesus said, gather all that's left over so that none is wasted. Nothing is wasted. And I tell this story this morning because it is I think it's a story for our times, almost literally, right? It's a story for our times when we look out in the world and we see in the world what's happening, where there are people who cannot eat, don't have the money to eat, don't have the money to buy food, where there are people who don't have the resources they need to get through their daily life, right? So we see this happening in the world right now. And so here's what I'm calling us to do, because what we know and what Jesus proved time and time and time again is there is a source that is limitless. There is a source that is infinite. There is plenitude that is ongoing forever and ever and ever and ever. If we will align with it, if we will move through the appearance and say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, all needs met. Thank you, God, for my whatever it is. Right? Before we go to, I don't have enough, there's not enough, look at what they're doing, look at what they're doing, look at the government, bad guys, right? If we're there, if that's the energy we're in, then all we're doing is amplifying that energy of lack and limitation. Jesus didn't stand there and go, oh my God, why didn't you pack enough food? Why didn't we have a strategy for this? We don't have a plan. With 5,000 people gathered, where's the event planner, right? Where's the plan? Why don't we have enough money to buy food for everybody? Right? His response was to go to what he knew was true, which is that the Father, Mother, God within has all the answers. It knows how to solve every problem if we will go to it. Right? Last month we talked about the art of manifestation, which is not magic, it's not woo-woo. It is literally what Jesus did. It is literally just the invisible becoming visible, and there are ways to do that. You all have experienced it, right? And the first way is you have got to look away from the lack and limitation. Now, let me be clear about what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we forego our worldly 3D, as Neville Goddard called it, responsibilities. Right? I'm not saying that we don't help those who need help if we feel moved to do that. I'm not saying that we don't do our civic responsibility to be a good citizen, whatever that looks like to you. Right? I'm not saying that we forego the worldly things. I'm saying, though, that we have to plant our consciousness, meaning our thoughts, our feelings, our heart, our words, our deeds, our actions, our meditations, our reading. Everything has to be planted in source. In source. And when we plant in the one, this is the meaning of seek ye first the kingdom and all things will be added. Seek ye first source. Seek ye first wholeness. Seek ye first the knowing that God is all there is and God knows how to solve every single problem if we will just get aligned and get quiet with it. Versus being out in the world and out on social media, just stirring up the algorithm of hate and fear and lack and limitation by continually posting and amplifying things that we do not want to experience, right? And so this story is so powerful right now. And here's what I believe. I believe that we are called together as a community who understands these principles and practices them and has had experience with them. And so what our call is to go harder, even harder into the truth, right? Because the world has plenty of things to distract us. The world has plenty of things to make us think that we're powerless, or make us think that there are powers that be that are moving over us. And here's the thing that I say all the time: if you are not in the driver's seat of your own individual life, someone will get in and drive over you. Right? If you are not in the driver's seat, if you are not practicing these principles, if you are not aligned with source, then someone or some group will then take over and drive for you. Right? So here what we're doing is we're waking up. We're waking up, and for this group, for our community to really begin to look at our practice individually and then look at how collectively, how do we help the collective? What can we contribute to the collective from a place of oneness, not a place of, oh, let's help the poor and needy, right? Oh, let's help the poor, blah, 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 right? But from a place of, yes, God is source, God is all there is nothing else. And so I move from a place of fullness into what would God have me do, right? What is the action I should take? What is the movement I should make? Who can I be a beneficial presence to? That's a very different thinking than, oh, let me help the needy. Oh, let me help these poor people who don't have any food. That is separation mentality. And it feeds into lack and limitation. It feeds into dominance and all of these other things that we are so used to. Even in our helping, we can be dominant, right? Even in our helping, we can declare our superiority or our supremacy, not meaning to, but if we're approaching people like, oh, let me help these poor little starving children, blah, blah, blah. Let me help these, da, 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 da. That's coming from a place of dominance versus, oh my God, look at how God is expressing through me and through this individual. What am I called to do here? Or for this group, what am I called to do? I've been planted here. What am I to do here? Right? That's a different way of being and moving in the world. And so that's what the world is calling for us to do because we get these principles. We get these principles. We work this out in our life while we are still being a part of the collective good. Yeah? Are y'all following what I'm saying? So great. Now let's talk about some other stuff, shall we? So let's talk about a couple things that I think it's important to notice for ourselves, right? So we're in this world, and there is this obsession with lack, right? There's this obsession with, and sometimes it's covert, right? Sometimes the powers that be, you don't know that the move that they're making is actually a greed move, right? It's like a taking move, right? Sometimes you don't know exactly what's happening, but we do know that generally in the world, very few people anywhere, media, leadership, anywhere, talk about leading from abundance, or the natural abundance, or divine abundance. It's more like there's not enough jobs, there's not enough food, there's not enough air, there's not enough this, there's not enough that, right? And so a few people have to grab all of it, and then there's a scrambling competition because there's not enough. That's the dynamic of the world. And so here's the thing that I find so interesting, how many times I see especially in socials and comments, people saying, you know, what has happened to our country? What has happened to our world? What is going on? I don't even recognize this. And it's like, where have you been? Where have you been? Right? Where have you been? It's like, yeah, all this stuff has been happening all the time. Have you read a history book? right? All the things that we see now have been happening all the time. It's a reflection of human collective consciousness. Ernest Holmes called it race consciousness, meaning the human race, right? It's the human collective consciousness, as Jung called it, right? And so the collective consciousness of humans is playing out in the predominant thoughts, the predominant consciousness. We see it on full display. And here's what's interesting, though. We don't see the full display of the really good things that's happening. Because I saw a post yesterday that said, and I'm on social media much more than I like because I'm, posting about the center and putting up reels and doing things so people know we're here. But I saw this post yesterday that had Amazon, 40,000 jobs lost. This place, 20,000 jobs lost. This place, 30,000 jobs lost. This place, 20,000 jobs lost. Da 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 da. And then the person who sent the post out said the economy is collapsing. Right? And I just looked at that and I thought, that's a powerful affirmation that you just posted for millions of people to see, click on, and share that will ensure that the consciousness will be that the economy collapses. Right? Because everybody's going to get on that bandwagon. And this reminded me of when COVID hit. I started a private Facebook group, a prayer group called Pray, Pivot, and Prosper. And every morning, Monday through Friday, I would get on, we'd do meditation, we'd do prayer work, do healing work. And also what I would do in that group is, do y'all remember when COVID was happening, there would be a list every day, I forget who, maybe the CDC or someone, that posted every day how many people had died? Remember that? How many people had died, right? And then in smaller print, it might be how many people actually recovered. And then it would tell you who died everywhere, like what countries, and then you could see, all the stuff. So what I would do, I think on this thing they would send out, they actually had a number. I mean, they had a percentage. And so what I would do is I would post how many people were living and how many people were recovering. So in this group, that's what I posted every single day. I would post, this is how many people lived. This is how many people recovered, right? To begin to focus on what it is we desire. Now, does that mean that we don't have compassion for those who are suffering, for those who perished, and for the families who were impacted by that? Absolutely, we have compassion. Absolutely, we do what we need to do for those individuals. Right? We support them, we love them, we care for our human brothers and sisters. And we also can stand in consciousness. And instead of talking about the 70,000 jobs that were lost, I think, I didn't look it up, but I feel like there's a whole lot more that actually are available. I mean, I don't know, call me crazy. But I feel like there's a whole lot more available than what was lost. But the fear-mongering around, around loss, is not going to produce birth, right? Produce abundance, produce fruit. I mean, it will produce fruit after its own kind, right? Are y'all following what I'm saying here? Yeah. And so this is my invitation to you right now, is to really move into having the bread and the fish in your hands, right? The thing that's in front of you on the screen, and looking up to source, and saying, thank you for my abundance. Thank you for all the great jobs that are out there that people are finding. Thank you for the health and vitality that people are experiencing. Thank you for the people who are recovering. Thank you for the people who are rising. And to give thanks for that which we desire. Because that's the only way things change. And we have the power to change things. We have the power through our collective consciousness, whether we ever march, paint a sign, or protest. We have the power through our consciousness to shift the way things go. But we have to be aligned. We have to look up. We have to know source is more powerful than anything that could possibly be created here. And we also have to give up the dopamine hit and the feel good of disaster, right? To talk about disaster and talk with my friends and talk and joke about this politician and joke about this person and wonder when this is going to happen and da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, we have to be willing to give that stuff up, right? I almost said a cuss word. Sorry, Mom. Because here's what's true. The things that we're seeing out in the world are actually a reflection of us. right? And so I'm going to bring this down a little bit closer. You know how you have people in your life who, or in your life or in your experience, who just get under your skin, right? They get under your skin, they annoy you, they bother you, everything in you wants to just, those individuals. Does anybody have that experience, right? Or perhaps you have someone in your life who isn't aligned with what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're teaching. What your teaching is, right? Who's not aligned with that. And so they're the naysayer and the skeptic, and they're always sitting back and they have something snarky to say about, oh, you go to that stuff and you believe in this stuff and blah, 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 blah. Right? Anybody experience that? Yeah. So here's the thing. That person, that group, that collective is actually a reflection of you and a reflection of me. They would not be in your face. They would not be in your experience if there was not some kind of energetic pull. I can't remember the psychologist who said this, but I think it was Ken Keyes who said, if you spot it, you got it. Right? If you spot it, you got it. If you spot something in someone else, something that's bothering you, and the good stuff too, right? Someone that you really admire for something that they are doing, what it's saying is that quality, those qualities are either fully expressed or repressed in you. That's why it's a charge, positive or negative. But right now I'm going to deal with the negative because there's a lot. We're going into the holiday season, and I don't want you to be, at Thanksgiving, trussing somebody up like a turkey because they get on your nerves, right? I want you to get through a nice, smooth, calm Thanksgiving with family, which can be difficult in these divisive times, yes? And so really looking at, not from a blaming, shaming way, but looking for yourself at what is it in me that is so charged by this person, right? Where does this quality live in me? If so-and-so is a skeptic about this, where am I still a skeptic, right? Because it may not be exactly, this is the thing that gets us confused, is that we think if we see something in someone else that really irritates us, right? So let's say they're very skeptical about it. I was just talking to somebody whose partner is very skeptical about this stuff. And so my question is, well, where are you still not all in with this? Right? Because they're just reflecting something that's happening within you. And so, or where are you skeptical and not all in with what's going to source? Where are you skeptical or not all in with other things in your life? Because this person is just reflecting a version of that. Right? And it may not be in spiritual practice. It may be other ways. Maybe it's financially. Maybe it's in your health. Maybe you're not all in around your health, or you're skeptical of some things. Skeptics just means it's sort of they're standing apart from something, right? So look at yourself. Where am I standing apart? Yeah? And so these are the things that in this teaching, and as practitioners of this teaching, we begin to look at, oh, whoa, where does that live in me? Not in a blaming place, but just an open question to begin to look at this stuff and root it out. Yeah? And so as we look in the world around us and we see the lack, the limitation, the fear, the loss, the competition, the savagery in some cases, right? Really looking at yourself like, where does this live in me? Because maybe you're not doing that to other people, but are you doing it to yourself? Are you unkind to yourself? Right? So this is our work, y'all. This is our journey. This is the game of life. And we get to be here. We get to play it. We get to learn these principles and then apply them because we are not victims. We are these incredibly handcrafted, love-made expressions of pure spirit in human form. And we are here to play this game of life and to inspire each other and to lift each other and to transform this world and to heal ourselves and heal this planet and support each other. And it doesn't mean we're all alike, doesn't mean we all think alike, and it doesn't mean we all look alike, because God shows up in a myriad of ways, infinite number of ways. But this is why we're here. This is why we're here. And here's what I know, a little secret about each of you. This is why you're here, right? This is why you're here, so we do this work together. We go on this journey together. We grow and rise together. We communicate, we solidify our beliefs together. We even have our conflict and our friction together because it helps us grow and we flourish and we thrive and we don't have to be all just alike. We don't have to be all just alike, yeah? So I feel like I'm at the end of my talk. It wasn't exactly the talk I planned, but I love us so much. And I see what's happening in the world, and I also know God. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And I invite you to be here, to be with us, to be in this community as we rise, as we build, as we love each other, as we grow, and as we make an impact in our world, and then in this world and the world. Let's turn within.